Ladies and gentlemen, we're here. This is it. The final video of the very long series of videos that we've had, which we started on Tuesday, I think. Yeah, so the pyramid is going to a close today, right? And just a look back on yesterday. These are the F2P advocates, Bird and Boar, two familiars they can build on, right? Really OP in my opinion. Shrimp Paler, you can't build your team around him, but as a support, he is super OP, and so that's why he is here. Forgettable ones, you can just forget about it, unless Netmarble gives us a ability to get them through the normal summons. They will stay here just because of how super expensive they are, even if they are serviceable in a way. But with how expensive they are, oh man, forget about it. Now, we really don't have any petition from the comment section, so we're not gonna read through anything. Let's just get to the main event. The top 3 of the pyramid. It's just the placing that's in question, but I guess you will have a pretty good idea where I will put them. Show me the next row, please. Horned Menace, Ebon Thorax, and Staghorn. Obviously, they both have horns, so that's why I named them this way. The main difference, Ebon pushes, Staghorn pulls, right? So push and pull. Now, let's get to Staghorn first. Honestly, Staghorn is still kind of underused, like in our top 100. I don't see a lot of him, and I know this specifically because my team's weakness is a Staghorn. I am writing them down. Whoever has a Staghorn on their team, because sometimes they will hide it. Alright, so whoever has Staghorn, I will write it down and make sure to not attack them. At the end of the day, this is money that we're talking about, so a win or loss could be the deciding factor of how much money you will get. Well, not really money, but like asteroid, but you can convert it into money. So how much money I can get at the end of the day. So even though he is my weakness, and honestly, it is the BTS weakness as well, for some reason, he is still underused. And I think I know why. It's probably because some people still don't know how to use him, right? I did make a video on how Staghorn skill works, right? So if you don't know, or maybe you are still confused on how it works, please refer to that video. That will help you a lot. But mainly because his skill needs some help. Well, not really needs some help, but like, so he can pull one familiar for sure, but sometimes you will need some Ebon beside him in order to push familiars into the direction of his pulling area, so that you can pull more familiars. So I guess the help that I'm saying there is to help him do more, right? So in order to be more effective, he will need some help. But don't get me wrong, he is still very effective. That's why he is here. So he is not like a strength in numbers type of guy where he really needs help in order to be good. He is good, but if you help him, it will be really effective. And then number 2, you still kind of need to protect him, because there is one familiar that can cancel Staghorn, and that is Might. And that's also the reason why, even though some people would argue that Might is just on the same level as Ouroboros, right? But because of that, he can cancel Staghorn. He is pretty high up. He kind of is higher than Ouroboros. Some of you might say, oh, Ebon can also cancel Staghorn. No, he cannot. What he can do is delay Staghorn. So what will happen there is, just because of the timing, Ebon will use his skill, push Staghorn, but he isn't using his skill yet. So he's not yet on cooldown when Ebon uses his skill. So after the push, Staghorn will walk a little bit because he will be out of range from the furthest familiar usually, right? And then he will use the skill. So Ebon will not cancel Staghorn. However, if you are using Ebon together with a Hippocampus, that will cancel a Staghorn. So after the push, Staghorn will get to cooldown, and then Hippocampus' skill will change the positioning of Staghorn while walking, and then so the skill of Staghorn will then be cancelled. But he is really high up on the list just because he is super OP. One, the flexibility there. You can use him as a defensive familiar. You can use him to be a really good, like not just a good combo starter, a really good combo starter. And then with the current meta, he is the weakness of a bird team, and a BTS team. Who, by the way, just a reminder, Bird and Boar is in a tier below this one, so you have to put Staghorn above them, so he's here. Now, let's talk about Ebon Torex. He is definitely top 2 familiar out there. I made a video about Ebon Torex, just how to use him in general. If you haven't seen that yet, check it out. I think it will help you a lot and, learn something. Probably help you rank up if you are using him, right? So overall flexibility, he is, top notch. Usable in any lineup, I would say. And to go even further, vital in a lot of lineups out there. Ebon Torex has a lot going for him. Let's just enumerate it because I think we are familiar of him. But just to prove the point that he belongs here. Number 1, he is super tanky, basically only taking normal hits. He is weak against light, but as I have mentioned in the past, light familiars are not really good attack-wise, so most of the light familiars are support types or def types. Now we do have one attack familiar that is a light, who is Aurora Lynx, but that's that, so there's not a lot of familiars that can take advantage of Ebon Torex's element, right? Unlike light familiars, there's a lot of strong dark familiars in terms of attacking. And so that being said, Ebon Torex is a really good tank, but also kind of a point for Aurora Lynx. But we've talked about him. We don't need to talk about him any further. Number 2 and number 3, he can cancel familiars and he can reposition familiars. So those 2 things, I've talked about it with other familiars. I said that is very important, and so that's why some familiars ranked higher than others, just because they have one of those 2. Ebon Torex has those 2 together, and so that's why he is high up on the list. Number 4, he is not a rare familiar. Kind of easy to get him. You got one of them for free, 1 copy in the beginning of the game if you started really early. He is not as easy to get as Ouroboros, Might, and Suryu, but he is easier than most. Definitely easier than Staghorn. And number 5, all those things combined, he is just a very flexible, easy to use familiar. You can plug and play him in any kind of lineup and it will increase your chances of victory somewhat. Fun fact, in my bird team, I don't avoid him, but I definitely avoid my bird going in front of him, right? So in a way, you can use Ebon Torex against your opponent. So if you are using a bird team, that can be done. But other than that, Ebon Torex really is a menace. And especially if he's hidden, he will wreck your positioning and your chances of winning for sure. Now let's get to the end. Last remaining familiar, top 1, top of the pyramid for sure. God tier, Toko. I mean, no surprises here. I'm probably not gonna take my time explaining this because it's just how it is. If you don't have a Toko in your lineup currently with the current meta, you are probably not gonna rank high. His healing is super OP as it currently stands. He has his weaknesses for sure, just like Staghorn over here. But even if someone is using Staghorn, that person will still be using a Toko. So no matter what lineup you think of, Toko is a staple. So no doubt he is God tier. I actually said something which is like comparing Disbelief and Shrimpaler. I said, what if Disbelief was a range type? He is super OP. And then funny thing, someone actually pointed it out. And just to give him credit, Galanoth here pointed it out. He said, range Disbelief does exist. It's called Toko. Good point, man. So yeah, we do have it. A very OP version of Disbelief, a range type of it. That familiar is called Toko. And even better, his healing is like over 5 seconds, so you don't have to worry about wasting your healing when someone is at full health. And then the healing is AoE, so you can kind of take advantage of it by putting a lot more melee types or a lot more range types so that the healing would, not only affect one familiar, but will affect 2 or more. So with that, Toko is here alone by his lonesome in the God tier. Will that change in the future? Let's see. Probably. I'm actually gonna give my thoughts on that. Like on this pyramid, will they stay the same in the next season? Looking ahead when other familiars comes out, also looking at the familiars that are out right now in the Korean server. But this is it. That is the end of our pyramid. Thank you very much for those who watched every single one of those videos. So that is around 5 videos, I think, overall. Imagine if I didn't cut this into parts. This is probably gonna be like an hour and a half long video. That is tough, right? So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that one. Really appreciate the support thus far. We are getting low in numbers just because the amount of players playing. But yeah, so really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. I will see you on the next one.